Hello, everyone. We are live. We're back again. And now we have Jamie Brown of the Daily Hotspur. I've not seen a smile on the face of a Tottenham fan like this for ages. He's got Gareth Bale back. He's got a backup stroke competition with Harry Kane. He's got Reguilon. Is it Reguilon? Reguilon. Yeah. Absolutely smashed it the other day. Smashed Man United to bits yesterday. How are you feeling, Jamie?
Yeah, honestly, it feels a bit of a dream at the moment. The last month or so has been just incredible, really. To get Gareth Bale back to the club is just a huge thing for us. Of course, the season started in a very difficult way. Of course, we lost to Everton on the opening day and things weren't looking so great. But that lift that Gareth Bale was kind of coming and giving us has been huge. He's an icon at the club and so many fans kind of, he was that one player that Spurs fans all absolutely adored. And it's given us such a big lift. And, we now look like a side that's playing with so much confidence. The atmosphere at the club is absolutely fantastic at the moment. The results have been really, really nice recently.
Yeah.
All right.
No. How much do you think?
This is so organising.
How much of a lift did Gareth Bale bring the club, and do you think it would have helped in bringing in more of your transfer targets? Do you think it's enticing for other players to see a player like Gareth Bale at Tottenham again?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it goes along with Jose Mourinho. I think that's kind of now the sort of profile that Spurs are looking at. You see in the past where we've gone for to try and develop players. We've gone for maybe younger players. We've obviously had a young manager in Mauricio Pochettino who likes to develop players, but it seems like we're trying to change that profile now and we're going for ready-made stars. You see Jose Mourinho come in and then you're bringing in players like Gareth Bale. So it feels as though there is kind of that change. But as I said, Gareth Bale is a huge, huge lift for the club. An example, it's like Thierry Henry coming back for Arsenal. It's like Steven Gerrard coming back for Liverpool in his prime. It's that sort of icon coming back to the club. And you look at Harry Kane and you think that he's obviously an icon in similar style to Bale. To have them both at the club at the same time is just so exciting for Spurs fans. So I think the biggest thing you can say about this transfer window is that Daniel Levy's getting a lot of praise. And when that's the case, I think he's done something quite special because he's been a guy that got a lot of stick over recent years.
Yeah, and definitely credit where credit's due, because I was definitely one that didn't have any sort of thought that Daniel Levy would be spending. All the news that was coming out sounded like Tottenham were going to be only potentially looking for loan deals, free transfers, and then not even talk of making any big signings. But it seems to be that's simply not the case. What do you think changed?
I can't quite believe it, to be honest. I can't quite believe that we're sat here on deadline day and we're not kind of scrabbling about for different targets. We've actually gone out and signed players in every single area that we wanted to. I think the big thing is that that Daniel Levy now has a manager in charge that he totally believes in. I think that he's a guy that he's always wanted at the club, Jose Mourinho, and he wants to go and back him. I think that he knows that if he gives him the right players and he gives him that backing, then he can do something special. And as we've seen, the team just looks so much like a Jose Mourinho team now. You've got Pierre-Emile Højbjerg who's come into the team and done a fantastic job. I mean, for me, he was actually man of the match yesterday. I thought that he was everything you expect from a Jose Mourinho player. He's a leader on the pitch. He works so hard for the team. He does a job for the team. He's willing to do that. I mean, his role is obviously to sit in front of the back four, and he just did that so well yesterday. You've, of course, then got Reguilon, who's a massive improvement on our left-hand side. And then, of course, you've got Doherty, who's come in and provided fantastic competition for Serge Aurier. It's just been incredible the way that we've gone and addressed all the kind of problematic areas in the squad. And Jose Mourinho spoke about that. He said, I'm going to go through each our target. Throughout the season, I've come up with a list of things that need to change at the club that needs to be addressed. And fair play to Daniel Levy for going there and kind of going and backing him on every single target. I mean, obviously, I'm sure we'll discuss in a minute the centre-back issues. The only one that we haven't really addressed, but apart from that, I mean, it's been fantastic. And also, you look at the quality as well. I mean, a lot of them that have come in are kind of players you consider as starters for Spurs.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've not gone out and bought could-be's or would-be's, should-be's. They've bought out players that are established. The Doherty's the signing. I mean, he's going to take a while to settle in because he plays more of a wing-back as opposed to a right-back. But that's a great signing for me. Reguilon on the other flank.
Backup striker.
A backup striker. And Højbjerg was a signing that I think even a lot of Tottenham fans were underwhelmed by. But I was surprised that they were underwhelmed because I felt that was a position that Tottenham definitely needed. And he's come in and he looks like everything that Jose Mourinho wanted.
Is that Højbjerg?
Yeah.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. And that was another thing as well Jose Mourinho wanted. I think that, you see a lot in the documentary, the Amazon documentary, was wanting the team to have leaders and having that changing mentality. And, we saw at Southampton, he was, of course, the captain. He's played at Bayern Munich, so he knows that responsibility of playing for a massive club. He's very well respected around Europe. Of course, Pep Guardiola was a big fan of him as well. And as I said, I think that it's that leadership that he wanted in the club. I mean, he does look like a guy who's organised in the midfield. So that's exactly what Spurs needed. And I think that was a big thing at Spurs. The mentality needed to change. And you got the manager in, as I said, with Jose Mourinho, who knows how to win trophies, who knows how to win football games. And it needed the players now. And it feels as though with a lot of these the guys that we've got in, they're of the right mentality. They know how to win football matches. They know what Jose Mourinho wants, and that's something that's also really, really pleased me.
Yeah, one position that you was looking to fill in at centre back, and it looks like that deal's off for, is it Skriniar? Do you think they could potentially just make do with what they've got until January and possibly go for another centre back then?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing is that Spurs didn't necessarily need options. It was more they wanted to just add real, genuine quality. I don't think there was anything about, we've got four top centre backs. We've got Davinson Sanchez, Japhet Tanganga, Toby Alderweireld and Eric Dyer. So they're four decent options. I think that it needed one more quality option. I think yesterday you saw there's still maybe you could have done with someone who's a real leader in that back four. So that's something that is disappointing. Yeah. We didn't quite manage to get that. But look, I think that we have got the options now, and to maybe wait until January. But I think that was kind of as you said, the one kind of missing piece in that puzzle, away from maybe Spurs putting in a good title challenge, I think, this season.
Yeah. So, Dele Alli, do you think he's off? Do you think it'd be the right move for him, or would you like him to stay?
Yeah, so it was strange with Dele Alli. I think that he kind of got to a position where he was maybe happy to leave. I think that was he was open to leaving for a club like Paris Saint-Germain. I think that was the club that was showing the biggest interest in him. I think with Jose Mourinho, one thing that did frustrate me is a lot of the criticism that he was getting for the way he's handled Dele Alli. I think that Dele Alli's problems have stretched back onto even under Pochettino. So it wasn't necessarily Jose Mourinho's fault. I think when he came into the club, Dele Alli was a player that he really was keen to work with. But obviously it had, for one reason or another, it hasn't quite worked out that way. I think that maybe you saw in the documentary, again, it was when Jose Mourinho labelled Dele Alli as a lazy trainer. So I think that Jose Mourinho's trying to find a different way of trying to gear up Dele Alli to get back to being the player that he wants. I think that there's a clear need for Dele Alli to work harder. I think, though, over the last few years, he's got a bit, he's been miscomplacent a bit in terms of his talent. He knows he's a very talented player, and he is. You look at his numbers, they're absolutely outstanding. I just think that it's the application, and I think that he needs to try and get that back. And once he does, I think that there's a great chance that he can be a top player again. And I back Jose Mourinho the way that he's handling him, because you saw with Tanguy Ndombele, a guy that looks certain to be off, but yesterday he's gone and dropped an absolutely incredible performance for Tottenham.
It was my man of the match. He ran that midfield. Tonight I was scared.
Do you feel that the players that they brought in, the Doherty's, the Reguilons, the Højbjergs, they've lifted the players who wasn't maybe at 100% at Spurs. They sort of lifted those players to another level. I've noticed at the start of the season, the players that were sort of, even your Kanes, even your Winkses, even your, like Simon just said, the Dumbelis, they seem to have gone up a notch. And there seems to be this different aura around Spurs now. And I think because of these new signings have come in, they've hit the ground running.
Yeah.
There's this different feel around Spurs at the moment on and off the pitch. And I'm thinking, has Dele Alli taken to that? Is where everyone else has? And I think maybe Mourinho has spotted that he hasn't where the others had. And maybe he does want to move him on.
Potentially. I think that Jose Mourinho was open to letting him go. I think that Jose Mourinho would have allowed Dele Alli to leave on loan. I think that when you make a good point there about how it's elevated other people's games, and I think that's because there were holes in this team. There were weaknesses in this team. You had a weakness at right back. You had a lack of a holding midfielder. The left back position was weak last season at Spurs, but we've gone and filled them with quality players now. And I think that the players around them, the Ndombele, he's had that opportunity to have more freedom because Højbjerg's in there to do a job more defensively. So he can go forward now. He's got more license to kind of go and express himself and show the talent that he has. And then the defence, it's been absolutely elevated by the sign of Doherty and Reguilon. So I think a lot of them have benefited from these kind of gaps in the squad being filled. So I think you're spot on there in terms of, yes, a lot of players have had their games helped a lot by those gaps being filled, as you said.
One thing I wanted to say as well, with obviously being an Arsenal fan, I want Gareth Bale to do something at Tottenham. I want him to do something good. Not like win a league or anything like that. Please, Arsenal fans, don't lynch me. But the way he was treated at Real Madrid by the fans, by the Real Madrid themselves, saying he was close to going to China for $1 million a week, and then they go and cancel it at the last minute. And apparently they did that as a punishment for him doing whatever he wants at Madrid, which you can believe because Eden Hazard is experiencing exactly the same thing now. So with Bale, do you think, he's 31, isn't he? Do you think he can come into this team and hit the ground running? Or do you think it'd take a few months for him and Kane and Son to click? Because when they click, it's going to be something we're not going to be experienced. It is. You've got Lucas Moura there, you've got Bergwijn there, you've got Vincent from the backup. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah, I have to admit,
Look at that smile. Yeah,
I've got to say, slightly grounded here because when you talk about Gareth Bale, Heung-min Son, and Harry Kane as an attacking three, my goodness me, that's you've got to say that's kind of up there with. Maybe on par with Liverpool. Of course, they did fantastic things last year, so I still have some reservation. But I think the big thing with Gareth Bale is that he's in an environment, as you said, that I think that he's going to really flourish. I think he's under a manager that's wanted him for a long time. I think he's back at a club where he's absolutely loved by everyone around the club. And that environment, I think the whole thing about being in a good environment, I think that's going to significantly help him. You look at Alexis Sanchez when he went to Manchester United. He, on the first day, he was onto his agent saying, "How can I get out here?" And obviously, he wasn't in an environment that he enjoyed. Mm-hmm. It shows you that a player of that sort of quality of Alexis Sanchez, the environment wasn't right for him. And I think that now Gareth Bale is in the right environment. I think that he's going to have a lot more motivation to play. Why would you want to go and do your best for a club that's treating you the way it is? Yes, it's, there was times when he's sat on the bench and he's got his mask covering his eyes at Real Madrid, and that's maybe a bit unprofessional. But, in a way, you can't particularly blame him because the way they treated him was terrible. But as I said, I think he's in an environment now. He's got fantastic players around him, Kane and Son, and then Lo Celso and Ndombele behind him. So, there is real, and I think that's kind of the missing piece as well. I think if you've got Son and Kane combining, and you've got that one more forward running in behind Kane and whatever, then I think that it's all set up for him there to be successful at Spurs. So I can see him personally hitting the ground running at Spurs.
That's why I think Dele Alli will leave, because what I've learned from All or Nothing watching it, I think it's brilliant, by the way. Not banter, I think it's fantastic. Watching Mourinho and Danny Rose go at each other, that's why he got rid of Danny Rose, because he thinks he should be in the team, but when he's in the team, he don't do no. And it's like Man United with Martial. When he doesn't do nothing, he gets benched, and when he gets benched, he sulks and he don't want to play, and he walks around Manchester thinking that he's big Billy Big Bollocks, basically. And you've got Rashford and Greenwood that have worked their bollocks off, basically, sorry for that language, and they've got their chance. So with Mourinho, that's why he wanted Martial gone, because he thought he was better than what he is. With Dele Alli, what I've seen in the All or Nothing, when Eric Dyer comes in and he has a go at Dele Alli sits there with a smirk on his face, and you can see that Dyer's really peed off that he didn't do nothing. And then you've got Hugo Lloris wanting to lynch Dele Alli, and Mourinho's watching all this and going, can't have this negativity, I can't have this.
So that's one thing that you hear quite a lot, that Dele Alli is just riding off his talent, and that's maybe why a player of such a high level now, a player that's had multiple England caps, scored many Premier League goals, was sitting in League Two for however long. Could it be that sort of application the reason why he was down there initially?
Yeah, I think potentially. I think that, as I said earlier, I think Mourinho highlighted that Dele Alli is a lazy trainer, and that's what he labelled him as. So maybe there is that need for. I think at the moment he's testing him. I think that, as I said, we saw it with Ndombele. He tested to see how he would react to being dropped from the team, and so far, yeah, exactly. So far we've seen just positive signs from that. So again, I back him. And he's totally right to expect that. You know, Jose Mourinho expects a lot from his players. He expects them to run through brick walls for him. And if Dele Alli's not doing that, then, you know, unfortunately, as much as I love him and I think he's a superb player, then he's not for Jose Mourinho. And unfortunately, we don't have space for players that aren't willing to do everything that for Jose Mourinho, because you see the other players in that team that are giving everything at the moment. So I think there's positive signs. You know, Jose Mourinho has started to speak more positive, Dele Alli. So I think we'll see him stay for at least until January. I can't see him leaving today, which for me is good news, because I think that, as I said, he's such a talented player, and it would be such a shame to give up on him. But look, if he's got until January to go and prove himself, then brilliant. If he doesn't prove himself, then, you know, I back the decision to maybe try and move him on.
And that's the thing at the end of the day, because it's got to be down to the manager. Because if the player doesn't fit what the manager's wants and what he asked for, it's not going to work, because it's the manager's job on the line as well. So he doesn't have that much time, especially in a high pressure job with someone like Tottenham, to maybe wait that extra bit of time. So, but another player that you just brought in, Carlos Vinicius, what are you expecting from him? Are you expecting a little bit more than the previous second strikers that have come in? Hopefully, more than Jackson.
I think I'm okay to expect a bit more than Vincent Janssen. I'm hoping for a bit more than that. Look, he's obviously had a fantastic record in Portugal last season. He got 36 goals and assists combined, or something thereabouts. So there's certainly potential there that he is a good player. He's obviously 6'3", so he's kind of that guy who will come into the team and offer something a bit different. I think he'll be kind of that target man that maybe we'll look for in the latter stages of games. And then, of course, you know, there'll be opportunities for him to play in the Europa League, but it's really important that we got that rest for Harry Kane. You know, maybe in the last 20 minutes or so, we can take Harry Kane off in games that we're comfortably ahead in. And, you know, we've seen Harry Kane's track record in the past. I don't think he's a player that can keep playing week after week. He's obviously got issues with hamstring and then, of course, the ankle. So it's really important that we've got someone that can come into the team and fill his boots. But you know, it's difficult to know. I mean, yes, as I said, he's got a fantastic record in Portugal, but you just never know how players are able to translate it into England. So I'm not getting too ahead of myself with this one. Yes, he's got fantastic stats, but it's one that we're going to have to wait and see how he adapts to English football. But Jose Mourinho identified him as his first target. They looked at other options to see if they could do anything else, but I think Vinicius was obviously the first choice. So look, again, it's about backing the manager. And if Jose Mourinho wanted him, then I'm more than happy for him to be here.
He doesn't get a lot wrong, does he, Jamie, Jose Mourinho? And he's never done in his career. When he brought someone in, it's very rarely they haven't worked out. Most of the players he's had a problem with are the people that are already at the club, because they haven't taken to his way of way of training. I mean, a player that I like. I just want to quickly give us your quick view on is Lo Celso. I just think this guy's so overrated. And the reason why I'm just bringing it up to you today is because this is the first chance I've ever to take Arsenal Tottenham support about him. Because he's on the verge of going in my fantasy team at the moment.
Yeah, he's just looking for tips, mate. Don't give him any. I'm just so impressed, and again, it's a Jose Mourinho signing, and I think what Spurs have got now, he's had the chance where Levy has given him the chance to give him like 4 or 5 signings, bring him in, and you know for a fact that these are Jose Mourinho signings. So I think Tottenham have got a very good season ahead of them. But I'd just like to ask about Lo Celso, Jamie.
Yeah, so firstly on that point there about Jose Mourinho bringing in new signings, I think he's got a fantastic contact list, hasn't he? You know, over the last 16 years or so of management. So, you know, he knows people that he can trust to bring him in the right players. So, whereas Pochettino, I don't think he had that contact list, and you know, he was very difficult in trusting players who he could bring in. So that's something that's definitely changed. So I think that's maybe a reason why it's been so successful for him at the moment. On Lo Celso, I mean, I'm a guy I'm very, very excited about. I mean, I think against Southampton, he came on at half time and he completely transformed the game. I think we scored 4 goals in the second half. And for me, it was a lockdown to Lo Celso coming into the midfield and bringing creativity, bringing that presence to be able to bring the ball forward. And he's a really, really talented player. The one big thing about Lo Celso is his injury track record. He's picked up a lot of injuries since he's been at Spurs. He's had issues with his groin. I think he's had other issues as well where he keeps just getting niggly injuries, and it is something that is slightly concerning because, of course, he missed yesterday's game. I think before the game, he was a big miss for us, and I was a bit concerned that we weren't going to have him. Obviously, in the end, we didn't. Luckily, we didn't need him, but that's a concern for me. The injuries is definitely a concern, but as you said, he is a magnificent player. And if the injuries weren't such a concern, I'd say that he's definitely someone that's worth getting into your fantasy team. Although, having said that, one thing as well, he does need to add to his game is goals and assists. That's something that maybe he's just missing at the moment. He did score 2 on Thursday, but I think you're totally right. He's a very, very good player, and hopefully, he can try and get these injuries past him because that's been a concern and a bit of a worry for me at the moment.
Do you reckon you could win the Europa League this season, especially with Mourinho as manager?
I mean, look, that for me that's the one competition I'm hoping that we can win the most. I mean, as you said, Jose Mourinho has had a fantastic track record in it. I think we've got a good squad in place. We've got 2 fullbacks on either side that are very good quality. You've got the backup striker. You've got a number of options in midfield now. You've got 4 different central defenders. So there's options. And I think that's really important with the number of games that we're going to be playing in the Europa League this year. So I think that we've got a team, the first team quality that's good enough to go and win that competition. And that for me, as I said, is the one competition that I'm kind of looking at. And I'm hoping that we can win this year. It's a good way back into the Champions League. I mean, I'm hoping that we won't need it because I feel as though this team now should be finishing in that top 4 anyway. But I think that there is definitely a good chance. Mourinho knows how to win it, so I'd be absolutely over the moon if that's the one trophy that comes into Spurs this year.
Because that's one thing you do need. You do need this season a trophy, even if it's the Carabao Cup. You need a trophy for them players.
Well, that's his usual mantra, isn't it? It's come in, win the Carabao Cup, get that winning mentality, take it on from there. And one thing that he did say to the Spurs players was, if you get top 5 or top 6, I'll win you the Europa League. And that, if I was a player, I'd be like gassed. Yeah. This guy knows what he's talking about. Go on.
I think it needs that belief as well. I think there has been it's been 12 years since Spurs won a trophy, and that kind of as long as it's gone on, I think it's got worse and worse at Spurs in terms of that belief that we can't win a trophy. So it was really important, I think, that it needed a manager like Jose Mourinho to come in and change that mentality. I think in the past, Spurs overlooked those competitions under Pochettino. We underlooked the Carabao Cup, the Europa League when we were in it. And those competitions, as I said, they overlooked them. So hopefully now we can focus on getting that trophy. And once we've got that trophy, there'll be a greater know-how in this team to win trophies. And I think it would significantly help, even if we were to win, just to win the League Cup this year.
Mm-hmm. Before we do go, what is your favourite signing for Spurs this year?
I mean, look, I'd love to give a funny answer or a unique answer like a Hotspur, but I mean Gareth Bale is just, it's still quite incredible. I still haven't quite got my head around it. I mean, maybe because he hasn't played yet.
Wait until he plays. Trust me, you will.
I mean, so I mean, look, I'm 22 years old and I'm getting the name on the back of my shirt for the first time. I think that says everything about how I view the signing of Bale. Years ago, if you'd have told me that Gareth Bale was coming back to the club, it's just incredible. So, as I said, the lift it's given is huge. I think that a lot of our form has really been helped by Gareth Bale coming in. But yeah, I mean, look, you look around the signings that we've made. Hojbjerg's coming and settled in so well. And that was the thing last year, I think, at Spurs. Ndombele, Lo Celso and Sessegnon, they all took a bit of time to get going. And that really, I think, hampered us quite a lot. But Doherty, Reguilon, Hojbjerg have all come into the team and settled in really quickly. So fantastic transfer window. But I unfortunately can't look past the signing of Gareth Bale for the best one.
One more thing, just before we go.
I think you left
asked
past
the
your
same
best one.
question to Nathan Hinton just a little while ago. Before the day, is there something you're missing? Is there something now you're sitting there and you think, yeah, but at the end of the day, this is still what Spurs need?
So, I mean, the amazing thing, as I said, is we've gone and addressed virtually every single area of weakness in our squad. And that's something that, at the start of the window, I can't quite believe I'm saying that we got in a left back, we got in a right back. And then the holding midfielder, the striker, the one area I think we are slightly weak in, and I think you're right, we're just missing that top central defender. I think that, as I said, you've got strong options there, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, Alderweireld, but it's just missing maybe that one more top quality player. And that's for me is what Spurs are missing, that top quality central defender. It looks like we're trying for something today, but I can't see it happening, and that's a shame. But I still think there's, we might revisit it in January.
Yeah, I mean, this is the transfer window and it's deadline day, so I wouldn't rule out anything. And the way Spurs are going, I definitely wouldn't even rule out potentially like a loan or something like that, even just to get you through to the end of the season.
There's rumours gone round that Christian Eriksen could be coming back. Can you clarify that or anything?
So I'd heard that at the start of the window they had been offered him, and I think that that's definitely a possibility again. That obviously we were in talks with Inter Milan, so I definitely think there was a possibility that we had been offered him. And of course, I think he's a guy that Inter Milan had been looking to get off their books. I think he's just not settled. But for me, we probably needed another creative midfielder. That had been great, but you see the way that he's performed for the last 18 months and the last few months or so at Spurs, he just wasn't the same player. So, as much as he was a fantastic servant for the club, I think that it's not the yes, go back to Gareth Bale, but I think with Christian Eriksen, that's not one that I'd want to see back at Spurs.
Yeah, I think that one's gone. If I'm honest, I think especially the way he kind of wound his time down at Spurs, it was almost that he wanted a new start, and there's no point in going back to what you just sort of crave to get out of. So I think it's cut ties, move on.
I think you're right as well. He did. He obviously, I don't think it was necessarily that he was desperate to leave Spurs. I think he'd obviously enjoyed his 7 years there and he's got fantastic training facilities that he goes to every day. But I think it was just that he wanted to go and experience something new. And, we all thought that maybe he'd get a move to a Barcelona or a Real Madrid when he was at his peak. But, it was Inter Milan in the end. But I think that new challenge was just what he wanted. I think it was anywhere else other than Spurs. So, and you saw the way that the way he finished. He looked like a player that knew he had a big move coming up. So I think that he was playing very within himself. So I think you're spot on. I think that it's not one that I want to see Spurs go back in for.
Yeah. All right, Jamie. Thank you very much. Great guest. Have you on any time.
Thank you very much.
What's your Twitter handle?
What's
your Twitter handle?
So it's just on the screen there. It's the same, Jamie. It's daily_Hotspur. So that's my
Great.
handle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're coming on to Spurs Edition, aren't you, Jamie?
yeah, that'd be great. I mean, yeah, it was great chatting to you all, and rubbing it in your faces a bit how well Spurs are doing. So that was
Hey,
nice.
whoa! This is meant to be neutral ground, Jamie.
Sorry.
You couldn't help it. You couldn't
I
help it.
didn't reveal what. Yeah, there you go.
No. Well, one thing I will definitely be beating you in this year is the Premier League Fantasy Football League. I don't know how you're doing right now, but I feel like I'm riding high. I know that Steve's struggling. I know Steve's
If he
struggling.
mentions Jack Grealish,
Steve was asking me
if he
for
mentions-
advice
if he
yesterday.
mentions Jack Grealish,
I'm at the bottom, I am.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's where you'll stay.
I think
So,
I'll-
That'd be anybody, that team, but I don't know what's happening.
all right. Thank you very much, Jamie.
No, thanks, Nate.
Love to have you on
Thank you
again.
very
We're going to see Jamie on the Tottenham edition of the Transfer Exchange Show, the review, this Sunday, isn't it? This next Sunday coming up.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Jamie. Take care,
Thank
mate.
you very much.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Jamie.
ladies, bro.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, mate.
All right, before we go, at 2:00 we will be having Juan Luge, ex-Barcelona player, on at 2:00. Hopefully, we have some news. Simon is losing the plot right now. Hold on. Honestly,
breaking news.
Is that for Joan?
Breaking news.
Or for something? I thought you were doing it for Joan.
I can confirm from my source that Thomas Partey is on a plane to London now to have a medical and sign his contracts.
so what is we got the release clause pushage?
That's all he sent. That's all that's all I've been sent.
He was okay. We're going to go off screen because Simon is so nearly saying the name about 4 times. So, boys and girls, movement on Thomas Partey. We'll be back at 2:00. Make sure you signed in because we're going to have a former Barcelona player on the pod. We're going to be asking questions about his time at Barcelona youth team. We're talking about his journey from Barcelona into non-league football in England, and just chat football. That's at 2:00, followed by Lee Allison at 3:00. Simon Edwards coming in from Colombia at 4 p.m. Steve Castle at 4:30. We have a little break. Maybe get some dinner down us, and then we've got the evening show at 7:30. Starting off with Chris Bowden. Then we have a bit of Stevie Greaves, Dundee United, scout and analysis. And what an evening it is in store. Let's go. Great. Peace out, people.
See you soon.
Peace out.
See you soon.